Have you ever woken up just completely exhausted, even after you've been in bed for a full 8 hours? You know the feeling. You followed all the standard advice, you got enough time under the covers, and yet your body feels like it's dragging through mud, and your brain is just totally foggy. Well, in this explainer, we aren't just looking at generic sleep tips. We're going on a journey to uncover the invisible programming that's running beneath your conscious experience. This right here is the central mystery we're going to solve today. For decades, conventional wisdom has told us that a late-night snack is simply a matter of adding a few extra calories to your daily total. But emerging science reveals something entirely different, and frankly, it's fascinating. That late-night bite, it's not just about calories, it's actually a profound physiological event that violently alters your neurochemistry, your nervous system, and your long-term cognitive health. To understand exactly why this happens, we have to look at the sleep-glucose connection. This is the hidden operating system we're about to peel back today. You see, every time you fall asleep, your body isn't just turning off. It's actually switching from an active operational mode into a highly active metabolic maintenance period. But the biological cascade triggered by what you consume right before bed can literally rewrite how your body executes this deep repair protocol. So let's dive into our first major revelation, the glucose sleep paradox. Let's say it's 9 p.m. You have a sugary dessert or some refined carbs. Almost immediately, your blood sugar rapidly spikes. By 10 p.m., your body releases a massive surge of insulin to manage it. But then, right as you're falling into what should be a peaceful slumber, something goes terribly wrong. At 1 a.m., your blood glucose violently crashes. And at 1:15 a.m., your body releases cortisol and adrenaline. Now, you might be wondering, why on earth does an insulin spike guarantee a release of pure survival hormones, precisely when your body is demanding rest? The answer lies in something called reactive hypoglycemia, and it exposes this fascinating conflict with our evolutionary origins. Because simple sugars are digested so rapidly, and because our gastric emptying actually slows down while we sleep, your pancreas overcompensates. It sends out way too much insulin. So your blood sugar drops rapidly below its baseline. Now, your brain, which evolved over millions of years for absolute scarcity, interprets this sudden blood sugar crash as an immediate threat to your survival. It panics. It triggers a counter-regulatory sympathetic arousal, essentially pumping your nervous system full of adrenaline and cortisol to force your blood sugar back up. And in the process, it completely hijacks your sleep architecture.
Which brings us to the critical phase of rest that gets completely dismantled by this metabolic chaos, sabotaging your deep sleep.
Deep sleep, or slow-wave sleep, is your body's ultimate architectural repair phase. This is when tissue is rebuilt. It's when your immune system is reinforced. It's when your brain consolidates all the memories of your day. But perhaps most incredibly, this is when your cerebral spinal fluid literally acts like a biological power washer, pulsing through your brain to flush out metabolic waste. And yes, that includes the exact proteins directly linked to Alzheimer's and other neurodegenerative diseases. This is the stage of healing you simply cannot afford to lose.
Yet our modern dietary choices are creating a massive environmental conflict with our ancient biology. A high-fiber, low-sugar diet promotes that slow-wave sleep, but a high-sugar, high-fat diet does the exact opposite, and it does it through thermal confusion. You see, to enter deep sleep, your core body temperature must drop. However, the metabolic response of releasing insulin to handle late-night sugar actually raises your core body temperature. Insulin acts as a thermal trigger. It literally lights a metabolic fire at the exact moment your brain is desperately trying to cool down and recover. And here is perhaps the most staggering, unexpected finding from the research. How many days of a low-fiber, high-saturated fat, and high-sugar diet do you think it takes to significantly alter your sleep parameters, increase your nighttime arousals, and reduce your restorative deep sleep? Just one. A single day is enough to compromise the deepest healing processes of your body. Now, this immediately begs an obvious question. If sugar disrupts the system, what about zero-calorie alternatives? Let's explore the artificial sweetener deception. It seems like the perfect biological workaround, right? You get that sweet taste you're craving, but you completely bypass the glucose spike and the insulin crash. But here's the thing. Our biology is infinitely more complex than a simple calorie equation. When we ingest artificial sweeteners that are hundreds of times sweeter than sugar, we introduce a massive scientific paradox to our operating system. It's a phenomenon called uncoupled energy signaling. Here's what happens. The sweet taste receptors in your mouth are strongly triggered, signaling your brain that a massive influx of energy is imminent. But No actual calories ever arrive in the gut. The brain's reward centers perceive this severe discrepancy not as some clever diet hack, but as a profound state of caloric deficit. It forces an evolutionary conflict. It activates a conserved starvation response. So the result isn't just that you stay awake, your brain literally activates an ancient foraging drive in the middle of the night. This results in hyperactivity, an intense drive to eat, and insomnia-like behavior because your brain is actively compelling you to hunt for the calories you promised it. Let's look at aspartame, for example. When it breaks down in your body, it yields an amino acid called phenylalanine. This floods the brain and actively impairs the very enzymes needed to make dopamine, norepinephrine, and serotonin. This is essentially a tragic biological theft. Serotonin is the exact neurotransmitter your brain requires for emotional stability and to synthesize melatonin for sleep. By trying to trick the system with a chemical sweetener just to avoid calories, you are accidentally starving your brain of the exact raw materials it requires to feel at peace and actually power down. But this goes even deeper. We have to zoom out to understand how these chemical deceptions interact with time itself. Welcome to your gut's circadian clock. Your digestive system has its own highly precise schedule. This is a concept known as chrononutrition. Enzyme production, gastric motility, insulin sensitivity, they all dramatically fluctuate over a 24-hour cycle. The practical implication here is just astonishing. A calorie at 8 a.m. is literally not the same biological entity as that exact same calorie at 11 p.m. They are processed entirely differently based on when your biological clock expects to receive them. Look at how this breaks down. During the morning and midday, your system is fully primed. You have high enzyme production and high insulin sensitivity, meaning food is efficiently metabolized. But late at night, your gut is essentially in a state of hibernation. Forcing a meal into a sleeping digestive tract creates a massive evolutionary mismatch between your gut's clock and your brain's clock. You end up with delayed digestion, overnight glucose spikes, and a dangerously high risk of metabolic dysfunction. The downstream consequences reveal exactly how our choices alter our long-term health trajectory. First, late-night eating forces muscles that should be resting to keep working. Second, because your digestion is sluggish, glucose absorption is severely delayed. Third, this means your blood sugar remains elevated all night long while you're trying to sleep. And fourth, because your cells are just bombarded with insulin while they are attempting to rest, they become temporarily deaf to the signal. Poor sleep and late-night eating directly cause next-day insulin resistance.
We are really starting to see the full picture now. Let's look at Section 5, the interconnected architecture of health.
Health is absolutely not a checklist of separate, isolated chores you have to get through. It is the emergent result of a deeply interwoven ecosystem occurring inside you every moment of every day. Your diet dictates your insulin dictates your core temperature dictates your deep sleep, and your deep sleep dictates your brain's ability to clear neurodegenerative proteins and regulate your mood the very next day. When you pull one string, the entire biological web vibrates. This changes absolutely everything about how we view our bodies. Your next daily decision isn't just a habit to track on an app. It is a literal instruction manual you are feeding to your biological operating system. This isn't about fear or restriction. It is about the breathtaking scientific possibility of human flourishing. Because when you finally align your eating, your sleep, and your circadian rhythms, you are actively optimizing your cognitive longevity. So we arrive at the ultimate question. Knowing that everything is connected, that your sleep influences your hormones influence your mood influences your nervous system, and your nervous system directly influences how you age. What instruction will you give your body tonight?